Put the line there.
Leonardo's right here.
All right. Well,
Speaking of, let me please introduce you first, just in case people have no idea who you are, which I doubt. But shall we start with the young man on the stage?
yes, you might as well. I'm here.
Make him get off.
Everyone, huge round of applause, Mr. Robbie Rist. And of course, the beautiful, wonderful.
Let's see if you get the pronunciation right.
Oh God, now,
Pressure
now it's a
not
test.
Danica.
Okay,
She's
this
only gonna
is
use my
writer
first name.
Todd Langen.
Yeah!
Nice work.
Sometimes I do research, you know.
I'm not leaving the middle for Brian.
Yeah.
Ah, that's right. We're taking it from you.
I'm still gonna hang out over here for when he does show up. But so.
Well, why don't you come up here until Brian does, and
By the way,
you know what? He stands.
Feel
That's
cool.
what he's late. Sorry.
by the way, this is what you really
Forgot to
want to
say
see.
this
So
here.
hold on a sec.
First of all, the back of the jacket too.
Woo!
Yeah.
Da-da-da-da-da. Oh! Is that a movie one tour jacket?
This is the original film crew jacket.
Yeah.
The very first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movie. This jacket is 34 years old. I got this in pre-production.
Yeah, I have the ooze one.
That's a good job.
Do you have the denim one?
I have the ooze one. No, that's
Oh,
similar.
the ooze with the embroidery on the ooze one is so elaborate on the back.
Yeah.
I've never worn it. But I have other reasons for not wearing that one, so we may get to that today. If you want to hear me bitch about movies. Oh, sure.
All right. You know,
Any other
there's
requests?
a old English dance pop band called ABC, and the guy wears this gold
This way, please.
suit.
Thank you.
The suit gets applause, so you're.
feel like it's
Can't. I know. I feel I should just leave the stage now.
Well,
I have a
let's
question
start
for the
off
jacket.
Let's talk a little bit about how you each got involved with this project in the beginning.
It's a long story. For me, it was in 1989, and I got a call from my agent. I had a vague awareness of what the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were. Ever seen the cartoon? Ever read the comic books? I might have played with a couple of the toys. I'm not sure. And I had no idea what they were shooting for. I still have a note sheet where I'm writing notes about my agent call, and I'm going like, is this going to be a cartoon? Is it animated? And then she said, no, Jim Henson is going to be involved. And I said, okay, I'll take this meeting. So I took the meeting, and with Limelight Productions, and they told me what they were shooting for. They told me about the involvement of Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird, who had story approval. This becomes very important in later discussions of the script writing of this thing. But they were under a tremendous time crunch for reasons that I won't get into here. And I had worked in television, and I had written a number of scripts in TV, which is on a conveyor belt and has to be done in a very timely fashion. I concentrated in comedy. They wanted to emphasize the comedy of it, and I was hired to do the job. Now, the only missing part of the story is how did they determine to call my agent? And this goes back to serendipity, because during the longest, you've heard about the WGA strike that's going on right now. So back in the day, in the late 80s, the longest WGA means Writers Guild of America, it's the Screenwriters Union. The longest strike they ever had occurred 1 week after I joined the Guild. It was 6 months. But for me, it turned out to be a blessing, because I got to meet people on the picket line I would have never gotten to meet otherwise. I'm gonna throw out a name here, kind of dropping a name, kind of a quiz. I met a guy named Bruce Joel Rubin. Does anybody Robbie recognizes the name? Bruce Joel Rubin would go on less than a year later to win the Academy Award for Best Original Screenplay for writing the movie Ghost, okay? So we became friends on the picket line, and Bruce is such a nice person, something I would never do myself. He offered to read one of my scripts. So I'd written a spec script on speculation during the strike. He read it, He gave it to the head of the motion picture department at Paramount Pictures, which was producing Ghost at the time, a woman by the name of Lindsay Duran, who produced Sense and Sensibility just a few years later. When the Turtle people frantically started calling around town looking for somebody, we need somebody fast, and we need somebody cheap, and we need somebody like right now. She literally, this is back before digital, she literally,
Where the hell have you been?
Brian, where the
hell have you been?
I was right at the punchline of my story.
Come join us, sir. Mr. Brian Tochi, everybody.
Or as we refer to him, the late Brian Tochi.
By the way, no, leave the glasses on. That's so Hollywood. That's so Hollywood.
I just came from California, so pardon my tardiness.
So 30 seconds, I'll complete this story. So Lindsay Duran, head of the motion picture department at Paramount Studios, had my spec script on her shelf in paper form. And when the Turtle people called and asked, she literally took my script down off the shelf and said, "This guy." So that's how I came to write the movie.
And so, if I may ask you, so I always say about entertainment, it is the embodiment of this equation when preparation meets opportunity.
Also the definition of luck, Bobby.
Yeah. Well, and that a healthy dollop of that. I mean, there are so many of us on various departments on these movies and stuff,
Yes.
and there's and once you reach a certain level, everybody's talented.
Yes.
And not but for some reason there were also talented people who maybe worked fast and who knew comedy and yet
Don't forget cheap.
and cheap. But yours came down. I mean, have you ever looked back on the fortuitous nature of it and gone, how on earth?
I have been to the Tibetan mountains and sat at a mountaintop contemplating that very thing, Robbie. Yes, I'm the guy. Screenwriters will talk about this because there's more screenwriters than there are good screenwriting jobs. We talk about the raw probability of things, and the odds are against you. Luck plays a role in everything. Certainly that. That's why I describe it as serendipity, but none more so than you guys. I mean, as much as screenwriters like to, can I say bitch? Actors have it much worse. The numbers are much, much worse for actors. It's like
Well, that's because nobody can write. No one actually. No one. And
You're too kind. Keep it coming.
No, and also I believe writing is an exercise where you have to kind of go inside, and so everything is happening here, and to bring your brain down to a calm enough level to actually put all these things together. Actors, if we blow a line, we can wing it.
Yeah, we can wing it. Many times we do wing it. We can redo it. But getting back, and I'm so sorry. I'm a little bit tad bit tardy.
Let it go, Brian.
But
We're
what was
past
so
that now.
interesting is I don't know if you covered it, but there was somebody who initiated the Ninja Turtles. But when we were talking about talent, the talent of this writer rose to the top. And they went with his script. There was another one floating around, but it was his script that we did.
This is my kryptonite, Brian. You can't compliment me too much.
Yeah.
I shut down. You guys too. You guys say outrageously nice things to me, and sometimes I have to go like, too much.
But I have to ask you though, another thing that I find interesting, I've written screenplays as well. And matter of fact, I won the Hollywood Screenplay Award years ago on an original screenplay. So I kind of understand the process. But what's interesting for in regard to the Ninja Turtles, when you started putting it together, did the characters speak to you and a lot of times write themselves?
No.
Oh, okay.
That's kind of like an actorly way of looking at things. It's work. It's like, it's experience, and it's work, and it's sitting down and doing it. And I won't go into this whole story, but it's like there was also a severe time limit, especially on the first picture. I tell people, just to give you a sense of how long it takes to write a screenplay, average is about 6 months. It can take up to a year, depending on how many people have input, how many people give notes, and all that sort of thing. 6 months is kind of standard from start to finish. So, for reasons we won't get into, there was they were going to shut down pre-production on this picture and not make it unless they could get another script, which they could send to distributors to attract pre-production money, so they could continue the development process of the Henson creature outfits. So I'm just going to throw out the number. From dawn to dusk, from the moment I woke up in the morning to the moment that I went to sleep at night, I did nothing but write the script, and I wrote the entire script in 10 days.
Wow.
I mean, that's quite a feat. It's an amazing feat.
It is ridiculous. But the thing that's not the amazing part to me. That's the
No?
The amazing part to me is this, and again, a series of circumstances that were way different on the second picture. Screenwriters have an expression. I'm going to teach you this expression. These guys know about it. When you get a script, you go into production. Anytime there's a change to the script, they put in a different color page to let you know when that change has occurred. By the time you start shooting a script, you have a rainbow-colored script. So writers, and this never happens, we have an expression called shooting the white pages, which means you basically shoot the first draft that the writer turns in. Again, not because of the T word or anything like that, because of the considerable time crunch they were under to start production, get this thing going, to amortize their costs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They basically shot the white pages for this first picture. We will contrast that at some other time with the way it was on the second picture, but it was night and day.
And I think that kind of speaks to your ability that you cranked out a finished movie on your first try. Well, I know there was editing. I'm not saying it was.
I'd written movies before. They just hadn't been produced, which, by the way, is the norm in Hollywood. You have this huge pool of scripts that are written by people that are never paid for, a much smaller pool of scripts that are written, which are paid for, and an infinitesimally small pool that have been written, paid for, and actually produced. I know people, I'm sure you guys do too, their entire, writers, friends, good writers, their entire career, and they have bought houses in Santa Barbara, raised a family, all that kind of stuff, written scripts their whole life, don't have a single produced credit because they get paid to write that script and it never gets produced.
Or on the flip side, somebody might write a script, then it goes to the studio, and then there are all these executives who have no talent whatsoever, who need to kind of put input into the script, and not knowing anything about writing, not knowing having zero talent truly, but they have to kind of validate their position in the studio.
I'm about to go into rage mode.
There's a joke. I'll try to do it really quickly. But Steven Spielberg dies, and he goes to heaven and meets St. Peter at the gate, and Pete's showing him around, and he's like, so while you're here, the maker was wondering if you maybe wanted to get involved with a project. And he's like, well, I spent my whole life making movies. You can look, all right, well, who do you got to do the screenplay? He goes, well, we got Shakespeare. He goes, oh, sorry, William Shakespeare? He's like, yeah, William Shakespeare wants to do the script. Well, that's pretty good. Set designer? Oh, yeah, it's Michelangelo. What, you mean like the sculptor? Michelangelo, yeah, okay. And so they go down this list, and finally you get to the end, and Spielberg goes, okay, well, who do you have for a leading lady? And Peter goes, all right, so this is the deal. God has this girlfriend. So, and these are the people that are not the creative side of this thing. These are those people who are like, I want to get my mitts on it just so I can, if the thing does well, I can tell everybody that, you know that line? That's me. And
you guys are really in the business.
Well, not only
that's
that,
so accurate.
Well, not only that, they also have, as Todd was saying, there are some people whose scripts have never been fully produced or whatever, but they've earned enough money from sales. Optioning, sales. But there are other writers who literally may write a few pages in an existing script, but they will get paid some $3 million, $5 million just because they have a name, adding just a few things to an existing script that was otherwise pretty darn good. You know, but that's what studio heads hire these guys because they're validating their job by saying, well, he had this hit and he had this hit. I put him in. It's not my fault. It's his fault. Look, you know.
I'm going to make you guys honorary writers. You're bitching for me. I love
Right,
it.
yeah.
Well, no, this is as a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for years was the highest grossing independent movie up until that point, and I forget who knocked it off. Huh?
It was 10 years.
It was 10 years.
Yeah.
All right, so for 10 years, right now.
Until my Greek wedding, I think.
I think I think what we, which is a good one. I like that. The whole thing with I've known Greek people who have actually said if you put olive oil on your hair, it won't fall out.
Okay.
I love that. I think that's the greatest thing ever. But as an independent film, isn't it funny how much, on a certain level, freedom you have, except for the fact that you have no money or time. Like there is a you can always have two equation out there. It's what is it? You can always have two cheaper the cheap, fast, and good rule. Okay, you can have it cheap and fast, but it won't be good. You can have it cheap and good, but it won't be fast. So this is you're shaking hands with the devil every time you go into one of these things. Because if it's a crap ton of money, that means there's a crap ton of people that want to put their mitts on it. If it's a very small production, there's lesser mitts, but there's also no money, and you have no time in which to get it done.
I don't know about a lot of you, but initially...
and also, wait, really quick, is this all too dry and boring?
No.
All right, good. All right.
No.
This is kind of the behind the scenes.
Yeah, because we're like, hey, let's talk screenwriting.
Well, you know, I
just
had no
insulted
idea what Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were. I wasn't aware that there was a comic book series by Eastman and Laird, and then there was this cartoon that started. And so what happened was when they ultimately were able to put the production together, they hired the team, you know, took Todd's script and were running with it, but they hired another cast, and I was not part of that original cast. Were you part of the original cast from the beginning?
The casting of the movie?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because
Maybe.
they hired somebody for Leonardo. I'm Leonardo, by the way.
You think?
And they fired him.
Woohoo!
And God bless you.
You would work in Hollywood.
Yeah.
That predatory attitude would work well.
And then they hired another guy. And then they fired him. And then I came available, and just by luck, somebody said, you know, there's this guy, Brian Tochi, he might be kind of good for it. So they contacted my agent, and they said, you know, would he be interested in this thing? And I had no idea what a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle was. So they explained, well, these little turtles are they're in the sewer, and this ooze comes all over them. They start growing. They become these badass karate guys. I go, I think I could do it. And thank goodness they didn't fire me, because as Todd was saying, Robbie was saying, the first weekend, I had no idea what Ninja Turtles were. I didn't know the groundswell and the enthusiasm of Turtles. But the first weekend was the highest grossing independent film in all of film history. The first weekend. And it just kept going from there to, you know, almost infinity.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Well,
thank you so much.
Here's a factoid that makes my head explode. Okay, the movie made north of $150 million.
Which in this dollars now, this is 1990, which is astronomically high.
And those were kid ticket prices, which are half.
So it was little kids coming back at
if
half
it was
price.
if it was a grown-up movie, it would have grossed twice that.
That's right.
Well, half of those might have been me.
Yeah, I got relatives too. Yeah. But yeah, I mean that's a really significant number. I mean, 180 million for the time is something. Well, that's 360 million back then. That's like almost like $1 billion in today money.
Did I mention how much I got paid to write that script? I'm going to throw the number out at you, right? I'm going to tell you the number.
Wow.
To write the original Teenage Mutant, the 150 million, I got paid $38,000.
Oh my gosh.
Well,
was it?
you made 36,000 more than I did. Yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah, it was a
I have to
$2,000
stop telling
job
the
for
story
me.
when Robbie's here.
Yeah, I mean it's great.
I didn't know that.
And also, it's the different metrics for how that business works.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I mean, on all three movies, they actually got us fairly rather cheap.
I want to ask you about that in a second. But
Yeah,
just to let
and
you-
I'm totally good with it. I mean, I got to do the job.
I'm
bring
totally
it on.
good for it too because it was the second movie that didn't come quite so cheap, and I had participation in the movie, so that also.
Did you really?
That's what you want is participation.
But why such an odd number? It's because that was the Writers Guild minimum at
Oh,
the time
wow.
for what you had to pay anybody writing a screenplay, motion picture screen. But the question I wanted to ask you two guys, because I didn't know, I did get to see some of the voiceover work in the later stages, like with Kevin Clash and things like that. You guys, unfortunately, I never got to see. I would have loved to have been there. Again, there were reasons that I got invited into the post-production process, which we won't get into here. But, so you're in the booth, like the first movie, both of you. How long did you actually spend recording your part? Was it a week? Was it 2 days?
I think I did the first one in 4 days.
Yeah, that's what, God, 4 days.
$2,000 in 4 days. And
Really?
That's pretty good.
I came back a couple times.
Oh, it's because you're always late.
Yeah. Touche, Todd. Well done, Todd.
Was it about the same order of magnitude or what?
No, because I was a couple of weeks.
Really?
Yeah, and there were different things and some stuff shot, and I came in.
It wasn't just like take 138
Wasn't,
or
no.
Okay.
And didn't we work in tandem with each other, or was it the later ones? Robbie and I were the only ones that did all three original Ninja Turtle movies.
Right.
But I don't recall in the first one, did we also have group session stuff?
I don't think we ever did we?
Really? I don't remember.
I don't think so.
It was a while ago. It was
As I remember, it was all one at a time.
Oh.
Because I remember feeling very lonely.
Aww.
But at some point, and on the second one and the third one, though, we did do.
Did we?
Yes, we did.
I was
Because Corey Feldman was.
I was in
all
my
the
late
time.
20s, and beer existed.
Yeah.
So
But
And
Corey.
besides, we don't talk about the third picture.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the
yeah,
second.
well, actually, the third movie, I compare that trilogy to the original Planet of the Apes series because the first one's really great, and then by the time they get to the last of that run of Planet of the Apes movies, which is Battle for the Planet of the Apes, it's like 4 apes and a school bus. It's like they spent like it seemed like they just gave up on the turtles for the third movie. They were just like, we don't have to put anything turtley in it.
You can badmouth the third. I was offered the third picture. I turned it down.
But
So-
it's my favorite because the suits sucked. And no, let me clarify. Because the suits didn't work very well, there was a lot of errant lip flaps, as we would call them. And so whoever was running the session would go, "Can you fix that?" And so there's a ton of ad libs that I got to do on the third one. So I'm like, I love the third movie because look at me be creative. You know that? See that line? See that line?
That's
me.
mine. That's mine. That's what
I'm
actors
that
say.
guy.
That's what directors say. That's what
Writers
that's
love it
mine,
when
that's
actors
mine.
do that. You guys don't get enough credit. You have to start taking it.
Right. Yeah, it's true. That's true.
All right, well, we don't want to keep you here forever because we want to make sure that you guys get back to your booths.
Oh,
And
yes, we
things.
do.
Yeah, we do.
Who briefed you, Dan?
This is great. Hang out and talk with these guys.
Hello,
I'm back
I'm
here.
Brian.
Hi, Brian. Nice to finally meet you.
Hi, Danica.
Brian's a hugger, by the
So-
way.
I'm a hugger.
So I know that the important question on everyone's mind. How do you feel about ninja rap?
We're still talking about it.
Yeah.
right?
Is that
We're
you?
still talking about it. I mean, it's.
I'm on
still
the album.
exists.
Are you on the album?
Actually, he's that second one, or that song. I'm a fan of one of these channels where they do film, criticism by making fun of the movie. And somebody pointed out that like in the first Spider-Man movie, Macy Gray is doing a song in it, and she had a okay career, but she's hardly like massive at this point. She's really kind of a time capsule of the moment. Turtles 2, it's the same deal, right? Like Vanilla Ice is coming off of this really hot record, and they're like, well, obviously he's going to be around forever. so they put that song, they put him in the thing, and now it really kind of makes Turtles 2. You can just go 90s movie, and like it goes right to it. So how awesome is that? And we're still talking about it.
And you hear-
However,
I
it
do
did not make
remember-
its money back.
Oh, no.
The rap song of Vanilla Ice, because I get statements every quarter from the record company because I'm in the album. And they still say they don't owe any residuals or any percentage because they're still trying to recoup the money from recording that, which is kind of an interesting thing. I think it's a personally, I think it's a
crime.
capitalistic glitch
Yeah.
perpetrated upon the talent.
Well, I mean, the record business very much has
Yes.
always been about,
Yes.
we're not paying you any money.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Movie business too.
Yeah.
The movie business too. They try and just
Yeah.
steal it.
Well, the funny, I find this amusing about the entertainment business is the people who do that almost are doing it because they know they can't do what we do.
Right.
Amen.
And I think there is a certain level of, that side of,
They started off as actors. A lot of these executives started off as actors who couldn't make it as
Right,
actors.
sure.
And as Todd said,
Hitler
that's a really
Hitler
hard.
wanted to be a painter, and look what he did.
He sure did.
I'm still stuck on Ninja Rap, sorry.
Yeah.
By the way, Danica, thanks for bringing that. Before we proceed here, let me just.
Did you write it?
I wrote a song for the second movie called Ninja Rap.
You wrote Ninja Rap? Awesome.
I got paid, and I have absolutely nothing to do with Go Ninja, Go Ninja, Go. I do a whole bit, which we won't do here. Come see it at my table about what happened when Vanilla Ice got hired onto the second movie.
Oh,
And it's like,
I want to hear that
no,
story.
it takes too long.
Wow, that's an interesting story.
But I'll suffice it to say, I was heavily into music, not as much as you, but in my school years, I was very much into music. I wrote a rap song for the second picture called Ninja Rap. Lyrics, music, the whole bit, put it in the script. It actually related to what was happening in the script. Can you imagine that? It actually had relevance to the plot, and it took place in the thing, and all this kind of stuff. And then, Van Winkle came on board, Vanilla Ice, and that it all went away.
But, okay, this is a very, very important question.
Okay.
Is the demo of that song out there and available somewhere?
No.
What are you talking
It was
about?
never recorded,
Have you?
dude.
But you
recorded.
must have a demo. You said you had
No,
music
dude,
and.
I don't own it. They paid me off. They paid me because
so
of
you don't
legal,
own it.
So it's
for
not-
legal reasons. Says that
Yes.
once they got the
Because
second-
you should post that. You should just post it anyway.
God, we're
Let
fighting
the
all
chips
this
fall where
inside
they
stuff.
may.
You're listening to all this inside stuff.
Yeah.
This is news
I
to
think
me.
I should
This is
get
interesting.
I should get Vanilla Ice. to
Post
do
it and let the lawsuits. What's the worst they can do to you? Come on, you can't get blood from a
take away
stone.
everything I've earned in my
Yeah, right.
entire life. That's plus the next 40 years.
Check
that I've been as lucky.
in. Check in.
Hey, you want
Stand
in?
up to the
You want
man.
in? You want co-counsel, dude? I'm already intimately familiar with the legal department of Warner Brothers. I want nothing more. I want nothing more. But yeah, no, the whole Ninja Rap thing is a long story. And as you can see,
On
it's
that
very-
note, we
it's very
should make
pleasant
sure
to me.
that we go back to Todd's table. And
Yeah,
ask
I wish
all about
we're
it.
not sitting next to each other. Sadly, I would love to hear that.
You know what? Completely complain to the organizers.
Yeah, no, but
He's in
We're all
the
we're all
writers'
scattered
area.
around. Now you have a reason for being where you are, because Brian was in Revenge of the Nerds, of course, and you're sort of like you're doubling up with Timothy.
Yeah,
Busfield,
Tim Bus.
so-
I don't know if anybody has heard of a movie called Revenge of the Nerds.
We'll be talking about it tomorrow.
Oh.
We'll
Oh, anyway, I
this
happen to
room
be in that too, so I'm
tomorrow.
sitting next to one of my co-stars in Revenge of the Nerds.
It's your fault for having intersecting
And,
artists.
yeah, franchises.
Yeah, don't blame us.
The police academies too.
I just like watching Brian work. I did get to go like side by side with Brian one convention. And it's like I try to be the nicest guy at every convention, but the guy out nices me. It's like, stop it, Brian, stop it.
Yeah, I've been saying this weekend, Brian Tochi is the human embodiment of a hug.
Aww. Aww.
But it comes late.
You're right. But it comes late because I'm hugging on my way in.
We should go ahead and wrap it up, actually.
Oh, is it Q&A
Oh,
or no?
wait.
There-
Was that it? Was that a double entendre?
Before we go,
rap?
does anyone have a
It
question?
up.
Oh yeah. Question.
Got to be so fast, y'all. We got another one coming in soon.
Dave Trucks.
I have a friend who told me that some of the actors got to do cameos in the movie. And I was just wondering if you guys know anything about the cameos.
That was the one. Some of the turtles that were in the suits, like Ken Scott was had a foot soldier, and he did some other thing. Ernie Reyes Jr. Well, he was Keno the Pizza Boy. There were. I didn't do any
No,
cameo.
me
Did
either.
anybody
Talking
here?
about the new movie?
No, but you're right. There was cameos in that.
Probably the most visible one. There's two very visible ones in the first picture. Michelin Sisti, is that how you pronounce
Oh, right,
it?
Michelin,
Who
yeah.
played Michelangelo in the suit, was the pizza delivery guy at the beginning of the first picture. And Josh Pays. This is how connected I am to the acting world.
It depends on
Josh
if he's
Pays,
here or not.
who played Raphael, was the guy in the back of the taxi cab when Raphael bounds over the front of the taxi cab and he goes, "What was that?" And he goes, "It looks sort of like a big turtle in a trench coat. You're going to LaGuardia, right?" That was Josh
That's
Pays,
so New York in the
Raphael in the back of
90s
the
too.
taxi. So,
I think we got time for, let's do two
Thanks
more.
for the question,
Real
Dave.
quick.
Out of what is like? Do you guys have like a favorite line from the script that you just absolutely love? Like it's your
all of them.
All of them.
You're talking to the guy who
There's
wrote a
only
lot
one
of
right
them.
answer
So,
here.
yeah.
All of them.
But you
Go
know
ahead.
what? Kind of the general "Cowabunga, dude" is kind of a favorite for a lot.
Mine is God, I love being a turtle!
Yeah. There you
Shall I tell
go.
the story? Shall I tell us? So, the guys in the suits recorded their own dialogue on the set, except for Josh, who played Raphael. They were all cast afterwards with these gentlemen. So there's a trailer online before the picture was completely cut and ready for release, where you can hear that line being spoken by the guy who's not Robbie Rist, okay? You should play that and play it side by side with Robbie Rist's take. And as a writer, it really did teach me the value of having the right voice actor, a good voice actor in that role.
It's very kind of you.
But it's true. I don't just tell this story because you're up on stage with me, although that helps. I tell other people that too. It's true.
Now this Robbie Rist guy is a really talented guy. I've known him since I was like
See?
Yeah.
See? Now
this
you're
high.
getting it, dude.
Yeah, I've known him since I was this high. Seriously,
What
the
about-
guy's
what about
working.
Brian?
He's such
You got
a
anything?
talent.
You got anything
Truly.
for Brian?
Do I? No, but you can't.
I'm coming up blank.
No, but you,
No.
yeah, right. You know.
My favorite thing about Brian, by the way, we'll get back to the question, because
It's when he's not here.
no,
No.
my franchise, besides the Turtles, is I'm old enough to have been around for the original Star Trek. So Star Trek is my franchise. A lot of you are probably aware of this. Brian was on the bridge of the original Enterprise shooting an
Right.
episode of the original series with Captain Kirk in the episode And the Children Shall Lead.
Yep.
This man was in the
I remember
original
that.
Star Trek and The Next Generation. So that's my favorite fun fact about Brian Tochi. So there's my compliment. See, you too.
One last one.
You take
Yeah.
it better than me.
Robbie, what's your favorite Choji line?
Favorite Tochi line? There, Chubby's rule. But again, I have to yell it, and it's hard. Oh, how about spiky human boulder? How often do you say that? Right? How often in your life do you wake up and go, you know what? I think a sentence I'm going to say today is going to have the words spiky, human, and boulder in them. Yeah. I love this job for that. I did a commercial in the 90s. And I came home and the person I was dating at the time was like, so how was work today? And I went, I was an ice cube. It's a great job.
Can we do the human expansion?
What?
Expansion?
I didn't hear that.
Expansion jutsu?
Oh, God. No, I did the one. I can't.
Okay,
I wore the
so
shirt. What
I
do you
hate to
like?
do this, but we got to wrap it up. So
Come say hello to us at our table.
Yes,
We'd love to.
come
We'd
to our
love to
tables,
talk to
they're
you.
here.
Come say
I
hello.
love talking to people. I don't know if you can tell they like to talk. So one more huge round of applause, Robbie Rist.